Hey there, and welcome back to Author Journey. My name is CJ Anaya. Today we are going to talk a little bit about why people stop reading a book, okay? I had a few questions about this, and to really delve into it, it would take a lot of time. This is essentially how to write a great book. So I'm just going to give you 4 reasons that I know of that many people have told me of why they stop reading a book, and then just give you a few little pointers as to how you can fix this if you find that this is a problem with your book, okay? So the first one is they don't like the main character, and I think that this has come at a really important time because I was in the process of doing developmental edits for a client, and she asked me a fabulous question when I was giving her some critiques. She said, why does the main character need to be so likable? Because I'm not trying to make the character heroic. And you don't necessarily need to make your character heroic to be likable, but the reason why we need to like the main character is because if we don't like the main character, that essentially equates to we don't care about the main character. So if we can't like the main character, we're not going to care about their journey. We're not going to care about the struggles that they're facing. We're not going to feel like we relate to them on any type of level. And it's really important that we do this. And something that I want you to understand is that you really can make any character likable if you do it the right way. So I want you to consider Vampire Diaries, the originals, Dexter, okay? The main characters in these shows are homicidal maniacs. Okay, we got vampires who are just killing people left and right. Dexter, he's a serial killer, and granted, he's killing awful, horrible people, but essentially what he does to them is also horrible. So, we're taking these characters, and in order for us to care about them, and in order for us to follow along on this path, and in some way be able to sympathize with these people who we normally would not sympathize with or associate with or care about in any way, is to humanize them. It's to give them qualities that make sense. It's to give them reasons and motivations and wants and needs that we can understand and get behind. So if we were to just say this person murdered someone in cold blood, can we get behind that? Can that make us like a character? No, we need to understand the motivations behind it. We need to understand the reasons. Are they doing this for family? Are they defending someone? Is it out of self-defense? So we need to understand the psychological makeup of this person and the motivations behind it. If we understand the intent of these actions, if we understand who these people are, and we assign them heroic qualities such as making sacrifices and doing these horrible things for people they love, it makes more sense and it humanizes that person. Now that's an extreme. I'm showing you an extreme idea of what it takes to make a character who maybe really isn't that likable, or who shouldn't be likable. But that's how you create complex characters. Someone who is so clearly a villain maybe isn't as clear-cut of a villain as we all thought. This person has wants and needs and emotions and wants to be loved, wants to find meaning in life, but they're going about it the wrong way. Okay, so that's one way to humanize a character. Another way is to simply, right from the beginning, let us see that this character does have very good qualities. Let us see them doing something that shows off those good qualities so we can like that character. So it's either you're going to assign them a heroic quality, or if they're doing something that normally readers wouldn't like, that just society in general wouldn't be on board with, we need to understand those motivations and intentions. Because if we understand why they're doing it and that makes sense to us, then these awful, horrible atrocities that this character might be committing are going to make more sense. It's almost like, okay, I see the motivation, I see that this person is humanized, because horrible, cold acts by people dehumanizes them. So we need to understand the emotion behind it. So that's just one thing I want to discuss right there, and also answer that question. Another reason that people stop reading is because the book is slow or boring. Okay, so we talked about low tension. Don't do a lot of info dumps at the beginning. Don't do a lot of exposition. We need action, we need dialogue, we need showing, not telling. So don't give us a lot of backstory in the beginning. Get right to the story. Get right to the main goal of the book. Get right to the main conflict of the book. And then ensure that there is tension on every page based on feelings and emotions, based on dialogue, based on action. What's happening? Are there obstacles constantly hitting the main character? Beat your character up if you have to, but don't let there ever be any lulls in the book. No low points. One really great way to also help your readers continue reading is what I like to call read-on prompts, or just little chapter cliffhangers. So you want people to turn that page and go to the next chapter based on what you have there. So you're revealing something new towards the very end of that chapter, and it's like, oh my goodness, I got to turn the page and see what happens next. Okay, so I like to call them read-on prompts, kind of a little prompt to help readers just get past that chapter, because readers like to stop at chapters as well. You know, they'll say, oh, I'm going to stop here, put it down. You want them to grab your book and just read it all through the night. You want your book to be the type of book where people are starting it thinking that they're just going to read a chapter or two, and they're, you know, finishing it at 3 in the morning. So read on prompts at the end of these chapters is really helpful. If you can just kind of have a situation arise, but don't resolve it and don't let anyone know exactly what's happening, they've got to turn the page in order to see what's going to come next. Okay, so that's one way to circumvent that. And then, of course, avoid a lot of backstory, sprinkle that in, avoid a lot of info dumps, sprinkle that in, and just focus on the character's wants, needs, and pushing towards that goal. So no low tension in the book. There is no plot or structure to the plot. And this goes back to outlining. So while you can be a pantser, make sure that once you're done with this book, that you go back through and make sure that this plot and the structure of the book makes sense and that you haven't gone down any wrong turns. Before you write the book, if you're a planner, make sure that you plot and plan your book so that you know exactly what is happening. There needs to be a goal, there needs to be a main want, there needs to be a point to this book. And then the book is about your characters solving problems and having wins, succeeding and failing and progressing to the point where they solve this initial problem at the end and get what they want, okay? So that's kind of the basic structure of what a book should be about, solving that problem and that journey that they take through it. So pay attention to that, because when people sit down and read a book and get to the end of it and feel like they didn't get the point of it, that's a plot problem, a structure problem. That means that you didn't have a firm goal in mind when it came to your character, and you may not have even known your character. Your character maybe had several different ideas of what they wanted to do, but maybe you weren't very clear on that. So if you don't know what your book is about, your audience won't either, and they will feel like there was no plot at all and no reason for reading it. So pay attention to those things. There's poor writing and editing. Now, I firmly believe that everyone can get better at writing, but don't publish. Do not publish your book before it is ready to go. And poor writing can be fixed by editing. So even if you feel like you are not the best writer in the world, the best way to learn at a very rapid pace is to hand your stuff to an editor, no matter how painful that may seem at the time. And it is super scary, especially the first time when you're like, okay, do this, developmental edit this, or line edit this, or, you know, it's just, you're handing your stuff over to someone and giving them free reign to just rip it apart if it needs to be. But there's so much growth and learning to be had in that. So you're going to better your poor writing skills by learning from an editor as to what you need to do and what not to do. So pay attention to those things, because readers will stop reading if the sentences are awkward, if they're not structured properly, if there are obvious grammatical and punctuation problems, if the flow and pacing and the structure of the book just is poorly organized as well, and an editor didn't catch that, you didn't get a good developmental editor to catch that, that's going to be a problem too. So these are the 4 main things that will stop someone from reading your book. So if you can focus on these things, which granted, I've gone over it in broad terms, there's a lot more to this, but I go over a lot of these things in great detail in other tutorials. But if you can focus on these things and ask yourself, is this poor writing? Did I do enough editing? Is the book slow at any point? You can even have a lot of people beta read your book and ask them questions like, do you like my main character? If not, why? Is the book slow or boring at any point in the book? Where is it boring? Where is it slow? Why do you feel that way? Where do you feel like the plot breaks up? Where do you feel like there's no structure? Did you feel like there was a point to the book? So have a lot of people, not your mother, have a lot of people who are not biased and can give you that honest feedback, do this for you as well, so that you can kind of survey your readership and research this out, figure out what they have to say and why things aren't working. It's going to teach you a lot in the process. So that is it for now. If you felt like this was helpful, go ahead and like it. Go ahead and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to ask questions in the comments below. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, guys.